Hi, welcome and grüezi to another FSD Beta video. This is version 10.2, which has just been released today, Monday, October 11. And this is the version which also went to an additional 1,000 or so beta testers. So congratulations to all of those. And we're going to have a look here today in a little bit the mixed format. So I'm going to show you here my test route that I usually use to compare versions. But I'm going to do a little bit different. This time I'm going to speed up the quote-unquote boring parts and just focus on the more interesting parts where the system also had issues in the past. And then I also want to show you some examples, some quick bits within the longer video here of things that I noticed on my first drive, about an hour and a half or 2 hours in total today. And with that, let's go. We're coming up to the first stop sign here, which I had trouble sometimes in the past. And with version 10.2, it's actually working quite nicely now. So we stop, we creep, there's nothing coming, and we go. This is very human-like and very natural. So this is definitely better than any of the previous versions, I would say, and I'm very glad to see that here. Now coming up to the second challenging part on that route, which is a stop with a little island in the middle and occlusion to the left. And the car here is actually stopping. So far so good. It sees the little island in the middle, it sees the cars. And it's kind of hesitantly going to the stop line, and you can feel when you're in the car it was kind of looking, and then it tried to go, and there was a car coming from the left, as you can see here, and I had to stop and intervene. Now the car, potentially would have made it, but it definitely wouldn't be nice to the other driver who is, coming to that crossing and sees me pulling in front of him or her. So yeah, that was not the best start here. Coming up to the next checkpoint here, in previous versions the car actually was sometimes swerving into the left lane or changing lane in the middle of the intersection. That got better in version 10.1, but you can see here still the car is kind of thinking about going to the left, and it's almost like it realizes, oh, I shouldn't do that, and goes back to the right and then turns the blinker on and goes into the left lane. So semi-solved, I would say here. Here is the next point where the system had troubles in the past. It's this left turn, which is very badly marked, as you can see here. And also this time, on this version, I kind of had to intervene. The car, at least it felt like it was going into the right lane here. Now it is possible that the car would have corrected itself and go back into, or not go into the right lane and stay in the left lane, but I don't want to find out. And if you sit in the car and you feel the car veering towards the right, that's not the right thing to do. And also that's why the intervention is being sent back and hopefully continue to be worked on. Next scene is here the merge onto the highway. This has been getting better and better over time with the last couple of versions, and now it almost feels like it's perfect. Again, here you can see the car speeding up to get in front of that van in the back, and it actually accelerates quite aggressively to make that gap. And it's exactly the right thing to do here. There is not that much traffic. It's a public holiday here in the US this Monday morning, but still the car was doing exactly the right thing. It was really looking for that gap, accelerating just like I would have done, quite, I wouldn't say aggressive, but in a good way, and made that gaps. Fast forwarding for the highway part. Again, probably a good thing that we don't have to look at this anymore in more detail. It was just smooth sailing, and that's a good sign. And now we're back on the FSD Beta version, city street driving. The light is going to turn green. Watch the jogger here coming from the left. My car is going, sees the jogger, waits for her to actually cross the street, which she's doing illegally here, and then the car continues. So this was handled absolutely fine, no problem at all. This next upcoming stop is another example of how natural this now works with this version. So this is definitely improved again in 10.2. Quickly stop, nothing coming, continue. It's really becoming very natural now here. So that also is something which subjectively, how I feel, has improved in 10.2. And then also if you look at this left turn here, of course there's no traffic coming, but still it's just feeling very natural by now. And that was it for my regular test route that I usually do. So overall, as you could see, there were still disengagements or interventions necessary. So I had to disengage twice. So from a pure, let's say, counts perspective, this has not really changed. I had to disengage at these two places in the past as well, depending on traffic scenarios and traffic patterns. But overall, this 10.2 release feels smoother. It feels like more confident when it comes to handling intersections and stop signs, etc. So it's hard to kind of show that in data points, but overall the feel was really that things have become smoother, notably smoother with 10.2, which was not the case with 10.1 or 10.01. So definitely a step in the right direction. So as mentioned in the beginning of the video, I also want to show a couple of different scenarios that I think are worth mentioning. And one of the things that I was really impressed with also in previous versions, and 10.2 does not disappoint here, is the lane change and merge kind of logic. So here we have to go all the way to the right of this 4-lane road. And you can see the car already tried to do it. There was another car coming from the back. It was initiating the blinker, it stopped it and waited for that car to pass. Now we have to switch one more lane, nothing coming in the back. And it could already go into the right lane now, but it decides not to do so. Instead, it continues passing these cars on the right, going through the intersection here, waiting until we pass the intersection, another right turn into the right lane, passing that red car that's turning right. A little bit fast on that bump, to be honest, but another turn into the right turn lane here. Now slower on that bump, but that was probably because there was a lead car. And now here we are at that right turn only lane. So I feel, these were very natural maneuvers, and I really felt very comfortable in the car. So that was actually perfect, I would say. I'm just going to fast forward this part here, but you can also see in the fast forward it's still doing some very nice decisions, changing lanes, getting out of the way of cars that are stopped in front of it and things like that. It also still messes up, well, I don't know if you can call this messing up, but it kind of missed here turning into this right turn lane. And see what it tries to do. So it tries to squeeze in. The car in front probably sees that I'm trying to turn to the right, makes space, which is very nice. And my car slowly, goes around it and makes its way into the right turn only lane. And then the light turns green and we can go. So again here, even though it made a mistake, it tried to correct it if possible, tried to get into that right turn lane, and it worked out pretty nicely, it worked out well. So that was great to see. Next scenario, we are approaching a red light which is just turning green, but you can see the car in front there tries to make the left turn, stops, that truck just goes around him. And my car is actually waiting and lets the car cross and is kind of more patient. Certainly the safe thing to do, and also for sure the friendly thing to do. Now here we're coming to an interesting situation. There was a truck blocking almost all 3 lanes. Guess it was broken down, or I don't know. And this is something, you see the car changes to the left lane here. I guess assuming the car in front would turn right, I'm not sure. And then it just felt like it would stay there. I'm not sure what it would have done, but I took over so that I can make that green light and continue. But that's certainly an interesting edge case, right? There is a truck which is completely blocking the lane. So yeah, a disengagement for that one, but to be fair, that's probably one that's not so easy to handle. Now coming up here is another issue that still exists. The car is turning left here and it goes to the right to kind of make a wide turn. This is something which was reintroduced in, I think, version 10.01 or 10.1, this kind of wide turns, which is not ideal. I had a car right behind me who was trying to get around me on the right hand side. Now you could say that's not the right thing to do, but it's actually what most humans would do here, and it's not good that my car swings out that widely, so that's something that needs to be looked into as well. Next thing coming up here, it's one of these issues we have seen in the past and it's still present, which is picking the wrong lane when it has to turn or go straight in this case. So we have to go straight at this upcoming intersection, and for whatever reason my car goes into the left lane here, which is a left turn only lane. Now you can see it notices its mistake. It tries to go into the right lane, turns on the blinker, tries to do that, realizes it doesn't work, turns off the blinker, and it seems to change strategy. Look at the tentacle now, pointing actually to the left. So it seems to be aware now that it cannot go straight and it's planning to turn left here, which is actually a great thing. And I hope that's going to be more and more the case, that the car realizes if it messes up how to get itself out of it. I have seen in the past that the car would try to go straight from left turn only lanes, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen here. I still don't trust the tentacle here, that it really will go left, so let's see and wait what happens. Light turns green, and you can see I'm getting ready to kind of intervene here because I don't really trust it to do the right thing. But then it hesitates a little bit and then decides, almost too late, so I was almost ready to kind of give it a nudge and turn off, but it decides to turn left here. So that was actually the exact right thing to do, and if I as a human would have basically made that mistake of choosing the wrong lane, I might have tried to fix it and somehow get back into that right lane. But the safe thing to do in this situation is certainly follow the traffic rule, turn left and reroute, which is exactly what's happening here. So now we just turn right here at the later stage and we'll be back on our original route. So that was good to see. Hopefully, as mentioned, this is gonna continue to behave like that in the future as well. Another interesting observation is here on Navigate on Autopilot. We have to go into the right lane, and right about now the car decides to turn into that right lane, turns on the blinker, and then realizes it can't go, there is cars in front. Now I'm pretty sure in previous versions the car would have slowed down, try go behind that car or that truck actually. Now it was speeding up and going in front of it. And this really feels new to me. I have seen this, I think, the first time on Navigate on Autopilot in this version here. And it feels much more like a FSD Beta kind of maneuver here in terms of planning it, etc., etc. So I was really happy to see that. And maybe that's a sign of some under the hood kind of things going on, in that Navigate on Autopilot gets some logic from FSD Beta, which would be a great thing, because I think the planning on merging and lane changes in FSD Beta is much better than the one that is currently Navigate on Autopilot, to be honest. And maybe one more thing here coming up, we have to do again a couple of changes to the right to get out to our exit. And again here, I think I've mentioned this in the previous video, it would be good if Navigate on Autopilot would be a little bit more aggressive. So here it's just too slow. It does the lane change, it speeds up, and it kind of slows down here, goes behind it, and then it's not aggressive enough. It could have done here the merge into the right lane. There was no car behind, but it misses that one. So I think the planning is actually, it feels like it's coming into the Navigate on Autopilot. The aggressiveness is not there yet. And we missed that turn here. Again, no big issue, just rerouting and take the next exit, so that's fine. But I feel like this little bit more aggressive side of FSD Beta, lane change and merge, would be a good thing to also have in Navigate on Autopilot. And hopefully we're going to see that in the upcoming versions. And just to finish off here, this is an example of this aggressiveness that I just mentioned before. Here we have to go to the right lane to make our right turn coming up. The car is actually letting the white car pass. Then the van in the back leaves us some space, and my car very confidently uses that gap, takes it, and then just makes it for the right turn coming up here, and we can go right, and we don't have to reroute this time. So this is the aggressiveness that I mentioned, which I think would be, in reasonable form, good to also come to Navigate on Autopilot. Now here, another human crossing the street. My car sees him, slows down. It's actually very cautious, so it really slows down and waits until that person has crossed the street completely. So that was it. That was my initial impression of 10.2. In summary, it actually feels really a step into the right direction, and I think it feels to me, based on this first maybe 2 hours or so of driving it, and it definitely feels like a step in the right direction, which is not something I could probably say from 10.1 or the previous version, where actually it got even worse in some aspects. So I'm happy to see that. Of course, as we have seen, right, it still makes mistakes. It still makes the same mistakes it used to do in previous versions. So there is, again, still work to do. But it's great to see that there is some more smoothness and some really, especially in lane change, lane merging scenarios. And also here, if you look at this unprotected left turn, it's doing it just fine. It's waiting for everything. So overall, first impression, very positive. And hopefully the additional 1,000 or so testers that were added appreciate that as well, and have fun and stay safe with this version here. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.